This is Wendy Alexander with the My WHIM Life show, where we use wisdom, humor, inspiration, and motivation to help you go after your one unique life. Today, we've got Breann Fox, who has been talked about incessantly by some of the people in my circle, and I absolutely had to meet her. We met up a few months ago, and I had an extraordinary session with her, and I am so excited to talk more about what she does so that I can share that with all of you. So, Breann, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Hey guys, thanks for having me, Wendy. This is so wonderful to just be able to pour into your audience, so thank you. I'm Breann Fox. I live here in Eagle, Idaho, and I originate from Arizona. I grew up playing soccer, played in college, played semi-pro, and then just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And so it was kind of this battle between like physician's assistant or PT. So ultimately, I ended up deciding to go into physical therapy, which is what my doctorate is in. However, as you know, Wendy, I am way beyond that scope at this point. And so I am blessed to be able to have the knowledge and the understanding and the skill set and be able to help others through. So basically what I do is I do pelvic health, which is bowel, bladder, sexual dysfunction. I do visceral health, which is your organ function. And then I have an intuitive and energetic balancing background that allows me to just zipper it all in and really just truly honor who you are and what your needs are. And that's physical, emotional, and mental, which is so beautiful because, as we know, they all interlock and they all can drive each other into different dysfunctions, functions, all the things. And so being able to get into each individual unique system and really have a pathway to healing has just been so beautiful. So thank you for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so interesting, and I'm sure the listeners will find it really interesting that originally you were definitely going into the Western medicine side of things,
Yep.
talking about becoming a physician's assistant or going into physical therapy or whatever that looked like. Where in that process did that shift happen into, knowing so much about the body and how it functions into some of the more, abstract uses of that information to help heal from the inside out?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And it's really been a journey. Honestly, if you'd asked me 10 years ago, I'd have been like, yeah, that's totally not what I would be doing. It's a little bit different, right? And we're all energy. Like we literally are made from the periodic table. So as like woo-woo as it might feel or sound for some people, at the end of the day, we truly are just subatomic particles. We're tissue, we're organelles. So it really isn't that woo-woo in a sense, but it's different, right? So it is outside of that like Western traditional medicine. And, I'm really grateful that the things that I've overcome in my life, including sexual assault, career-ending injury, like those hardships, as someone might look at them, have really allowed me to shift my perspective, but have really put me on the journey when I'm willing to receive the shifts, right? They've really allowed my journey to just unfold beautifully. And so, yeah, it's been a couple different really strong points that pivoted me. And I was like, oh my gosh. So for instance, I went into grad school thinking like, well, orthopedics or pediatrics, of course, I'm an athlete. I love kids. Like, why wouldn't I go down one of those routes, right? And it was second year of grad school where we had a therapist come in and she was talking all about like OB-GYN, pelvic floor stuff. And I was like, what? And I had my own pelvic issues, if you will, from the sexual assault and from some other, I had a few car accidents, concussion, like our body is layers, right? Our body speaks. And so through those different layers, if you will, I had things that were stored inside of me that I had no idea were even a thing. And so, I dove in. I was like, I had no idea that pelvic health is a thing. So during my third year of grad school, I went and did all of the curriculum so that when I graduated, I could just dive right in because it literally felt like my calling. But then shortly after getting into it and working in that realm, I just had so many clients that there was more. There was so much more. I'm not sure what it was, but I knew the tools that I had weren't enough. if you will. And so I really felt compelled to kind of search, kind of feel it out. And through that, different things have just kind of fallen into my lap. So visceral was the next thing for me, where it was, I was introduced to that modality, and it was literally in the first 10 minutes, game changing. And it was that aha moment of, I need this in my skill set so I can help others. And so then I went down that journey for a while, and through the visceral coursework, which viscera is the organs, there was a specific class where they get into trauma and they get into emotions and how it all connects, and one big fascial network, and your injury then and the bad news then can come in and affect each other. And I was just, again, called to it, like, oh my gosh, this is so, like, it's my language. I didn't even know it existed, but this is literally just feels real, So I dove in head first and just really have gone on the pathway of learning through my own journey. And I have done so many different modalities. I still get treated a couple times a month. I think it's wonderful for anyone really, but for any of us that are trying to stay at a high level and to perform to our best, show up as our best, and really be able to serve others. It's important that we clear ourselves. It's important that we stay, ahead of our game, that we feel fulfilled, and that we are releasing anything that doesn't serve us. And so it's really been kind of my journey and the things that I've experienced, as well as the education through the different institutes. And so I now study and am a teaching assistant through the Barral Institute and also the D'Ambrosio Institute, which is more of like the energetic balancing of the musculoskeletal system. So if there's an ACL tear and there's a trauma, we can release force vectors, we can help the knee heal, as well as mind and body connection. And that ultimately becomes like my greatest passion, but I think it's because I too have had to do that. And so I really love when I get to serve in that way. So
yeah, talk to me about your career-ending injury. I mean, I know a lot of people who have dealt with, that trauma, which is so, yes, it's physical, but it is so mental.
Yes.
When you're having to go through that shift. How did you work your way through that?
Oof. That's a loaded question with probably 800 minutes of answers, but
right.
I want to serve your audience. So I'm going to see if I can package it in a way that is serving to them instead of just telling my story. So I think a couple things that really stand out, and that I also see in clients that have had something of the sort, and that even goes for careers, right? And I think what happens is we become labeled in that thing that we're doing, that we're good at. So for me, growing up, I was Breann, the soccer player. Like, period. That's who I was. I was identified as that person, right? And so when I no longer was Breann, the soccer player, like, who the heck am I? And I had to figure that out. But I had to realize that that's part of the grieving process, if you will, and figure out then, who am I at a deep level? Like, what are my 3 core values that no matter which vehicle I'm driving, I'm in the clinic, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm playing soccer, at the end of the day, when I show up in those lanes, I'm still me, right? I'm still those 3 things or those 5 things that I stand for. That is who I am at my deep core. And I really had to learn that, or unlearn the other things, probably is more of what it was, because I think we really are, we stand true to our values that we learned very early in life, for the most part. And so it was really kind of rediscovering and redesigning, redefining those, and being able to confidently lean into them versus relying on a sport or relying on a career to define who I am. And so with that said, I really believe that even if you're in it right now, it's a matter of looking at, if I'm driving the lane of being a mom, and I'm driving the lane of being a wife, and I'm in the lane of this career, what happens when those 3 things I'm not in those lanes?
Right.
Who am I? And it's really important for us to know that now, no matter how many lanes we're in. Some of us are in a lot of lanes, right? And some of us are in 1 or 2. But when we identify with that lane as who we are, I think that's where we have a harder time overcoming or seeing the positive in something such as a career-ending injury. The other thing too, for me personally, was soccer was my outlet. You know, that like not only physically, but emotionally and mentally, those were my people. That was my tribe. It was like a love language that we spoke. You know, I was confident in it because I was so skilled at it. And so losing that outlet, like I truly don't know. So I ended up playing. So my second year of semi-pro was when the injury occurred, and I couldn't play at that level again. But I have played on and off with some higher level, just women's, you know, club teams, if you will.
Sure.
And which is great. And a lot of them are really great friends and all of the things. And it's fun. You go on a Sunday, you hang out with your girlfriends and you kick the ball around and you do the thing. And so I've been able to play, I've been able to physically move my body, which is wonderful. But it's not the same. And I haven't been able to find something that kind of takes the place of what soccer was for me as far as an outlet. That's been really hard. I've tried CrossFit. I've tried going to the gym by myself. We have a garage gym here. Like we've done all the different things. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I just don't know if it fills me up how I knew that soccer did or what it was for me. And so I think sometimes it's a matter of, I didn't quit. I did what, you know, I was in some degree forced to no longer play at that level, but now what can I use? What season of life am I in to be able to bring in another tool to be able to have an outlet? So I think those are the important things to look at when we're losing something, whether it be, you know, a sports career or a professional career, or even, I mean, gosh, the loss of someone we love, right? And
I was just going to say, it feels very much like the entire grief cycle. Like you literally have to go through some of those same processes, and it's the same, like a divorce would also, you know, do that same kind of thing, or the loss of a friendship. You know, my daughter, after leaving high school, was like, where did all my friends go? And had this, you know, this couple of months where she was like, I don't even know who I am, because all the people that I've spent my entire life with have disappeared. They've gone on to live their own lives. And it's interesting that so many of us have faced these challenges, but we don't always see that process as grief like it truly is.
Right. Yeah, it's so true. And it really is in all facets and all ages. You know, so like your daughter, for example, perfect example, because it is like somebody thinks of like, oh, well, you're moving on in your journey, you're going to college and you'll meet new friends. And we kind of focus on that, which is great. But at the same time, you're still re-identifying and you're rediscovering, and you're kind of walking in that fine line of, am I completely alone on an island? And who am I without my career, my sport, or my friends, or my family, right? And so there's those different phases in life where we kind of have to rediscover and be on an island and to kind of work inward. We're almost forced to do it if we're aware. And I think that's where some people get hung up, is they're unaware to the degree of how much inner work they need to do. And so all they want is to be back where they were.
Right.
Like, I want my friends again. I want that marriage that I had again. I want that person to still be alive. I want my sports career, whatever that is. And their focus is on, I want it to look just like that. Well, in the cycle of life, it's not going to, unfortunately, you know. And so as soon as we can kind of understand that, recognize that, and move through the cycle of just that, you know, wheel, if you will, that then the stronger and faster we come out on the other end. But it's not easy, right? It's like we kind of get stuck in this but, right? And where if we can learn to just kind of skate through it and with intention, with awareness, and really work on ourselves at the end of the day, that is what serves us the best.
Right. And I think that working time, you know, that cycle serves so many bigger purposes in our lives, that it's where some of the greatest learning has come for me. And I wouldn't trade any of it for anything. It was so critical in the development of learning who I am, so that I can be better for those that come into my life in the future, or that remain through the different struggles.
Yeah, you're creating space, and that's what we do in the clinic too, right? I treat remotely as well, so it doesn't have to be in the clinic, but If you have something that's clogging you up or creating congestion, whether it's emotional, mental, behavioral, we call that an internal factor, or if it's a physical limitation, we need flow, we need motion. And if there's something that is clogging the pores, if you will, or creating a dam in your system, disease and dysfunction follows. So it really is being able to sit in it and honor it for what it is and grow through it. Because that's really, like you're saying, where we get the bulk of our growth. But everybody loves the high point. They love the accolades. They love the high energy. Like, I'm out with my friends, I'm doing all the things, and life feels so good.
Yeah.
So then when we get into that lower cycle, it's like, oh man, this stinks, right? But we get used to it in a sense of, oh, I know what this is, and if I can be here and be intentional and work on myself, I can move through it a lot quicker.
Yeah, it's so great, because I was literally just having that exact conversation with a friend of mine who is struggling through the beginnings of a divorce, and I said, you have got to focus on learning this lesson. Basically, we all go through things in order to learn. What is this trying to teach you? Take a step back, slow down, try to figure out. Everyone has their issues. Everyone has things they can work on. Let's figure out what you can do different and move forward.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And it's so true that if, like, I think it's Jay Shetty talks about, if I don't have clean, pure water in my well, I can't serve others, right? I can't pour you a glass of clean water. If my well is dirty, I'm giving you dirty water. So at the end of the day, if I can create clarity and purification and, coolness, calmness in my water, by turning inward, and that's really hard for us to do, right? Especially, I feel like, especially as moms, because we are constantly giving, and so it really is very hard to turn inward and say, you know what, I'm taking an hour for myself today, right? Because then we feel guilty of all the other things that either need to be done or people that need to be cared for. But it's just like the oxygen mask analogy, put your mask on first, then put on your kids' masks. And that there's so much truth in that we really have to turn inward, reflect, see what we've been given through those life lessons. And then we can come out on the other side even stronger and better and more clear on what our next step is, right?
You bet. Talk to me a little bit about the modalities that you use, because just listening to you talk from an outsider's perspective, I've been in your clinic, so I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
But for other people just hearing us talk, they're like, well, is this coaching? Is this counseling? Like, talk to me about what that looks like from your perspective.
Totally. Yeah. So at the end of the day, whether you're a coaching client or you're an actual like physical ailment or energy release client, at the end of the day, we're looking at the whole person, period. Okay. So I have the gift of being able to scan your body head to toe to figure out where you have the greatest blocks. So where your greatest priority is today, right now. Okay. So you might come in with a big toe complaint. That doesn't happen too often, but I'm just using that as an example.
Right.
You might come in with a big toe complaint, but we need to work up in the system. Maybe it's your respiratory diaphragm that has a restriction. So, okay, we've locked in on the respiratory diaphragm as your priority today. Now, is it physical? Is there a physical restriction? Did you have COVID? Have you had bronchitis? Did you have this fight or flight system happening where you like, right? And you've just never been able to let go of that? Or is it an internal factor? So is there an emotion that's created that kind of, and the diaphragm's not working well? Is it a mental, like a belief, or is it a behavior? And so I have the ability to lock in and really get very specific with the exact emotion. We can even get into like the time of your life. So were you 9 years old? You had this, fear of dogs because this dog came around the dark corner and scared you. And so you have this propensity to kind of hold your breath in anything that feels uncertain or scary. Mm-hmm. And so over time, you just kind of repattern that, right? But we can go back to when it started and the body speaks. So sometimes the body needs to like tell the story. And so we talk and we work through it and we kind of pick into what it is that, oh, yep, that's the thing. Okay, let's do a release and get rid of it. Or sometimes the body's just like, thank you, this is amazing. I don't need to talk to you about it. I'm just glad you're here. Now let's get it out of here, right?
Yeah.
And so it's it's different for everybody. And what I say is, no two humans are the same. We're not the same. None of your listeners are the same. And then each session shouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
Because we're different humans every single day. And if we've done a session already, that should be up and awake and cleared out. Now we're moving into the next thing that your body's saying, this is my priority now, but I couldn't focus on this unless you already addressed this.
Totally.
Right? So it really is a layering or a hierarchy system, in the sense of your body is going to say, I cannot focus on any of this other stuff until you address this thing.
Yeah.
And so it's just really following the pathway of your best healing, and it's listening. And I guess I'm a good listener. I'm a good talker too, but I guess I'm a good listener in the sense of, I really work off of that calibration in your system and being able to honor what you need without I'm not coming in with any bias. I'm just there to serve. And so, in a coaching session, as we're talking, I can utilize my gift to kind of lock in and help coach you through. But a lot of clients love the hands-on. They love the energy work remotely or hands-on. So, they come in with a physical ailment that they don't realize is connected to something deeper. And then that's where we get to work from more of a manual therapist standpoint. So it's really integrated, just depending on your needs. And I end up doing a lot of coaching with those clients too, because it's educating, right? This is why, this is how, this is what's happening. And this is how you need to come in for the next week and really serve your body in this way to really honor what the changes we're making and the processing that your brain and body are doing. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I have been fortunate to be, in a room with several of you and the people that you work with, specifically yourself and Tammy Reed, I have recently met with several times. Erica McGuire I've met with, and she's been interviewed on the show. And I know that the three of you have a retreat coming up. Is that something you want to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are so excited. I wish it were tomorrow. It's not, but it is coming up soon. And we have brought literally all three of our geniuses together. So Tammy really focuses on the human design and your energy and like how you answer questions and process and how to put it in based on literally your human design. And that comes from when you were born and the state you were in and all of the things. And she has such a beautiful gift with that. And then Erica brings in the beautiful mindset piece and deconditioning. And then I bring in all the things, and it is going to be really 3 full days. So it's, Thursday, it's 4 nights, but 3 full days of just locking in and empowering women to elevate themselves, to literally take themselves, no matter where they're at right now today, but take themselves to that next level through clearing, through clarity, through, the human design. And so we will be launching all of the ability to reserve spots and all the things. And there's not a lot of spots, but it will be in Cascade. July 22nd through 26th. And so Saturday we'll be having everything boom launch, and y'all can click the button and reserve your spot because it is going to be life-changing, and I'm so excited.
Awesome. I will definitely be sharing that with other people.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there anything at all else that you think is important for people to know if they're considering booking a session with you?
Ooh, good question. My brain was totally going somewhere else when you asked that question, because I already know what I want to share. So it's going to kind of take away from booking a session with me for a quick second. But what I really would love to share with your audience is just that our life happens for us. Sometimes it's hard to understand. It's hard to take, especially when things feel hard and ugly. But truly, if we can shift our perspective, if we can understand, if we can rewire around it, then it doesn't hold us back. So those feelings, those emotions that we capture during an experience or an event, it's a matter of, one, how we perceive them, but two, do we hold on to them? It's like opening a drawer and shoving the dirty old holy socks in there and then closing the door. And over time, that takes up, really depletes us. It really holds us back. And so in sessions, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is open that drawer and just get all those socks out of there, so they're no longer the ones that don't serve you, right? If they have holes in them and
Right.
their seams are all over the place, like that doesn't serve you. So let's get you some like new socks in there with this like beautiful organized drawer, if you will, and just get the junk out of there. And that can come back to literally birth trauma, to childhood trauma, to an experience where you were scared or uncertain or felt abandoned. So it really is any feeling or emotion that no longer serves you. When it's cleared from your system, you can really feel more free. And that's, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. I always enjoy every minute we get to spend together, Breann. I just think you are amazing at what you do. Every time we talk, I know I feel seen, and anytime someone can complete that connection, that is an honest to God gift.
Thank you. Thank you. I love our time together too. And I truly appreciate you allowing me to pour into your audience today and having me here as a guest. So thank you so much.
You bet. How can we reach you?
Yeah, I mean, easiest is text message. That sounds so silly, but my phone number is 208-949-8640. Otherwise, if you just want to book a session, check me out online. It's www.doctor, so DRBFox, CO, so drbfoxco.com, and you can check me out there. My coaching programs are there. It can link you into the clinic for a wellness or energetic session, and that all the goodness. So there you have it.
Goodness.
Yes.
You're speaking my language, lady.
Totally. So reach out, shoot me a text. I love it. It's all good. So
perfect. I thank you so much, and I know I will see more of you very soon.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the My WHIM Life show today. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a moment of the goodness.